Chords and Coffee. Change Gonna Come Part 2. Let's see if we can do it. Here we go. Well, there you have it. That's what I came up with after messing with that for a little bit. I have not landed on an arrangement that I feel like that's it. But I will tell you, I feel pretty good about how far we've come together. And I'm going to show you what I did there. I also want to say as a disclaimer, just like anything else, there's a lot of nuance and nooks and crannies in this song that are worth exploring. And I just need to play it about, 50 more times, maybe 100, who knows. But I'll tell you, I'm really, really grateful for this suggestion. So thank you, Jason, for suggesting this song. And let's get right into it. So the top, after listening to it for a little while, it's like there's a lot of stuff going on. Let me just nail down what seems to be just kind of the meat and taters of it. And just play that with as much finesse as I can. And it's one of these deals where it's a real simple melody and I'm playing the bass line. And this little maneuver here, this shape in general, where I've got my index finger on the 14th fret of the A string playing the B note. Remember, I'm tuned a half step low. If you watched episode 1 or part 1 of this Change Is Gonna Come, the song's in B flat. I tuned down to E flat so that I could play it as though it was in B, so I could have the open E string, because that's what I wanted to do. I got to poking around on the internet and I found a really beautiful arrangement of this with Bill Frisell. So you should go search that out. And I think he's playing it like in standard tuning and just playing it in B flat because he's a total stud and it sounds great. Bill Frisell. Anyway, here's what I'm doing here on that intro. And index finger on the 14th fret of the A, pinky comes up here to the 16th fret of the high E, and here's just a real simple melody. You're just going 16, 14 on the high E, then 16, 14 on the B. And then down here, I'm playing the 11th fret of the A, so G sharp, again, as though I'm in standard, but I'm tuned down to E flat. Cool. All right, so G sharp on the 11th fret of the A, and then skipping the D and the G, and then on the 12th fret of the B, and that's 12, 14, and then on the high E, I'm playing the 11th fret. So, and then I just went up this, and straight up the pentatonic scale and double stops. Ain't nothing to it. So 11th fret of the A and the D is where I start, and then 9th fret of the D and the G, 11th fret of the D and the G again, 9th fret of the G and the B, and then 11 and 12 of the G is on 11, and then 12, sort of like the top, like if you imagine sort of a D chord up here, it's sort of the bottom half of that. So 11 and 12 on the G and B respectively. 9th fret of the B and the high E, 12th fret of the B and the E, 14th fret of the B and the E, and then I hit this little F sharp 7, or F sharp 7, sharp 5. So it's like an augmented thing. So I'm on the D string of the 14th fret, 15th fret of the G, 15th fret of the B, and then 14th fret of the high E. And then hit the 2nd fret of the low E because you can. And then if you watched part 1 of this, you have the... And I was debating about, going... with my thumb over there. But man, at the end of the day, I just wanted that... I want to be able to wiggle the snot out of that note because that's what Sam Cooke's doing. And plus, I think it sounds more vocal. So I know it looks like a stretch, but it's really not if you'll just do it. Again, thumb placement is critical for the comfort of your hand and being able to sustain that. And all of that melody, so that is 7th fret, 9th fret, 12th fret, right? All on the B string. Right. And that little is the 7th fret of the E and the B string that my index finger is just catching that. So I'm playing the low E and the high E and the B on the 7th fret there. And that whole melody, you will find it, and you will find variations and artistic expressions of that if you just poke around with 8, 7, 9, 7, 9. Refer to the first video for more on that. It's in there. And then we go to the C sharp minor, and that's all familiar. The one thing I did here that was a little different is I started messing around with these little thirds here, and all you got there is on that C sharp minor chord. That is 9 and 11. So 9 on the G string, 11 on the D. And sliding that up. And then down to 8 and 9. So play around with those. And then to the G sharp. Again, in part 1. And then, for some reason, doing that helped me set up that C sharp minor chord from the 9 to 12 again. And then this guy that we talked about in the first lesson, right? All that straight up. The second time through the progression, I went. And that is E7 with index finger across the D, the G, and the B string on the 9th fret. Middle finger on the D natural, the 10th fret. And then this guy, so like C sharp diminished. Pinky on the high E, 9th fret, ring finger on the 9th fret of the G, and then index finger is going to catch the 8th fret of the B, and then middle finger is going to come down here to the 9th fret of the low E. And then just a good old-fashioned G sharp minor chord with the B with your pinky on the 7th fret. Then when we got to the bridge part of that, I'm doing another one of those like pentatonic scales and double stop. So 4 on the A and the D, 4 and 4, 6 and 6, 4 and 4, so, and then C sharp minor. And that was that same deal we did a second ago. I can't remember if I went up here or not, but if you did, it would sound good. That's that 9, and so you think of these as thirds in B, just like, but these are different. This is a closer cluster of these. And if you don't mess with those, you ought to, because they're a pretty thing to do on guitar. So that's 9 and 11 again on the 9 on the G string, 11 on the D, up to 11 and 13 on the G and D respectively, and then G on the 13 and then 14 on D, and then back to G sharp minor. And I messed around with that a few times, and then when you got to the C sharp major, Wind Cries Mary voicing, right, where you got your index finger across the 6th fret of the D, the G, and the B, and then ring finger is on that F natural for making the major third on the 8th fret of the A string. And that, so all that is that from that position right there, you're going to go up here to this sort of like, think of it as like a D sharp minor 7, but just for a second, it's kind of a passing tone where I've got my middle finger on the B string of the 7th fret, skipping the G, ring finger is on the 8th fret of the D, and then ring finger on the 9th fret of the D, pinky on the 9th fret of the B, nothing happening on the G, and then middle finger hits that C sharp on the low E on the bass note. So F sharp. And occasionally I would do the octaves instead of just the, and then back into it. And went through the whole sheboing, and when we got to the end, I did this. And that chord is just sort of like a, I guess it'd be like a G sharp minor 6. Would it? No, G sharp minor 9. Yeah, just kind of a fancy G sharp minor 9. And all that is a G sharp is on the 4th fret of the low E, skipping the A, got my ring finger hitting that G sharp. Pinky is on the 4th fret of the D. The 9 here is going to be on the 3rd fret of the G, right? Open B string, and then hitting that that flat 7 here on the F sharp on the high E, 2nd fret. I know that's a lot of information, but there's a pause button there that you can go through here and you can get this. If I left something out, if I forgot something, please comment below. If there's something you're like, you know, hey, Nate, you can do better, tell me, you know, take another swing at it. Hey, Jason Wade, thank you so much for recommending this. If you guys want to do another one of these, then by all means, put it in the comments here and we'll keep going through this. We got some really cool things coming up on Chords and Coffee I'm really excited about, so stay tuned for that. Thank you so much. Feel free to share these videos and feel free to just help me and help us build community. That's what we're doing. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next week.